I mean, Detroit would also be a big one too because.
Which is, hang on, here we go.
Detroit's somewhere in Michigan. Again, it's hard with a state capital map, but let's say it's there.
It says there.
So Detroit is remarkable because it's a small city, and so much music has come from there. You know, I mean, whether it was Motown or the MC5 and Iggy and the Stooges or Eminem and the White Stripes or the birthplace of techno. I mean, that really, like, you can take some genres and almost like point to the minute that they started. And techno started, Juan Atkins put out, I forget the name of the record. Well, Juan Atkins put out a record in the mid-'80s that it was sort of like the birth of techno.
Which is funny because, you know, Detroit if you go there, it doesn't seem ostensibly like a particularly culturally rich city.
Oh, no, Detroit's a bizarre place. Because I guess in the late 60s, I don't know if this happened in the UK so much, but in the late 60s, we had a lot of inner-city riots in the States. And it really, like, the white flight to the suburbs had begun before that. But then these riots drove all the white people out to the suburbs. And some cities have sort of, like, recovered from that. You know, like Manhattan, Los Angeles. Well, parts of Los Angeles, like Watts, still hasn't really recovered. But Detroit, it's like the white people left, and they left essentially an empty city. You know, with just like a few African Americans and a few immigrants, and it's kind of stayed that way. Oh, dogs. My dogs.
Well, it's because they've sucked all the prosperity out of the places they left.
But it created, I mean, downtown Detroit is like this, it's a time capsule. Like you go there and all the buildings that would have been torn down in other cities are still there, and they're just sitting empty. And they keep trying to revitalize it. Like they built this people mover, and it's this huge monorail that goes all the way around Detroit. And
every time you say monorail, I just think about that Simpsons episode. Monorail.
I think that the Detroit monorail might have been the inspiration for this, because you go there and you see this gleaming monorail going around, and it's always empty.
Ghost monorail.
Like every now and then there's one person on there. There's one of my favorite lines from that Simpsons is they get Leonard Nimoy to come and inaugurate the monorail, and he says, "I think this thing could do warp 5," and people politely laugh. And Quimby says, "And may the force be with you." And then Leonard Nimoy says, "Do you even know who I am?" He says, "Yeah, you're one of the little rascals, right?" Yep. And then the raccoon's living in the utility closet, and then the big one's Bitey. So that's Detroit, and it really is like such a beautiful dystopian futuristic city. And at some point, I'm sure that they're actually going to have urban renewal, and they'll build condominiums and build Barnes and Nobles and Starbucks and whatever. But for now, it's still this. Yes. But for now, it's still this like fantastic sort of like bizarre, desolate place.
But still, sort of created all this music. Maybe because of that. I mean, if you look at, I come from Birmingham in the Midlands. Mm-hmm. You know, Coventry, Birmingham, not the most glamorous of places in the 70s, but because of that, you know, you got the ska movement, you got the two-tone movement, you got bands like the Specials. Kind of came out of that because there wasn't a lot else to do. Yeah,
Birmingham's an interesting place too, because you had like Duran Duran and Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
you know, bizarre place, and because Birmingham and Coventry were sort of leveled in World War II, right?
That's right. Yeah,
and then built very quickly after the war. Yeah, Coventry. Back in the rave days, there was a big rave club in Coventry. I can't remember. Eclipse.
I used to go to Golden in Stoke-on-Trent. I used to go to all those terrible places.
Well, there's one, like, I've traveled around the UK pretty extensively, but a lot of it came from the rave days where you'd do 3 or 4 shows in a night. You know, so you'd be
till about
like
9 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. And you'd get in your car, and you'd drive to Essex, and then you'd drive to Birmingham, and then you drive to Coventry, and then maybe you end up in Brixton at 7 o'clock in the morning. And so that was my introduction to the UK. And so seeing places like Coventry, like you drive in, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, it's desolate, you're trying to find the club, all of a sudden you get to the club, you open the door, and and it's 3,000 people out of their minds, slathered in Vicks Vapor Rub. You know, everyone pupils like dinner plates. Yeah. Fun times.